Thank you for joining me today on Ready Aim Stamp. I am going to show you how to make this card, and it features a fun kind of diagonal fold, the stamp set Forever Fern, and the die set that matches with it, the Forever Flourishing dies. I used a piece of Blackberry Bliss cardstock as my base, Whisper White, Old Olive, and Cinnamon Cider. For the ink colors, I used Blackberry Bliss, Just Jade, Cinnamon Cider, and Old Olive. All right, let's ready, aim, stamp. All right, so for a typical card, we would use the scoring blade on our stamp trimmer, and usually I would score at the 4 1/4 mark, and then I would cut at 5 1/2 inches, and this gives me 2 card bases. Oops, my little stand is interfering. Out of 1 sheet of cardstock. And then you fold it, burnish your fold, and then you have this as the landscape view or this as the portrait. So that's my standard. There's also, oops, 2 pieces of paper, where you can do the opposite, scoring at 5 1/2 and cutting at 4 1/4. Oops. And then when you fold it, you have kind of more of a tent fold or a longer sideways opening. So those are both kind of standard ways of getting 2 pieces of, or 2 bases, card bases out of 1 piece of cardstock. For this corner fold or diagonal fold, I am going to score it both at 4 1/4 and again at 5 1/2. And then I am going to remove my scoring blade out of the track and set it aside. And the Stampin' trimmer is just large enough that you can line your paper up corner to corner, your cardstock, and you want to just kind of line it up to where the corner is in that little groove on each side. Now, it's going to put a little bit of lines on here, but that's okay. So then you're going to push down and cut that across. And now you have 2 card bases with this corner fold or diagonal fold. All right, we're gonna get those just a sec. Okay, so then I'm just gonna line this up and use my bone folder to kind of burnish that fold. You can also kind of smooth out the crease that the paper trimmer made. Get everything a little bit more lined out to where you want it. Kind of help that fold. All right. And sometimes you have to kind of manipulate it a little bit to get it to stay how you want it. All right, there we go. Now we can set that aside. And I have already stamped just random, making my own patterned paper. And I just inked this stamp image up with the Blackberry Bliss and stamped some random spots. Then I inked up this leaf image with the cinnamon cider, once again random, this leaf image with old olive, and then these little splotches I used just jade. So then we're going to cut that, and we want it to be cut 5 inches, which is, let's see, I have to do this the right way, guys. I think I should have done my pattern this way on my paper so I could get 4 out of it. As it is, I'm not going to get 4 sheets out of this one. So I am going to cut it at 5 1/4 inches. And 4 inches. And then, once again, paying attention to which direction you want this to go, since it is a fairly directional print. I want to go from this corner to this corner in my cutting. So, again, I'm going to line that paper up diagonally along the tracks. And cut that. So now I have my background. All right, so I'm going to set that aside for now. Get my paper cutter out of the way. Then I am going to die cut a piece out of cinnamon cider with that die cut, piece with old olive from that die cut. And before I do that, I have one image that I want to stamp in Blackberry Bliss. And there we go. And then I'm going to line my die up using a piece of low-tack tape to just secure it temporarily in place. And I'm going to go die cut those out. I'll be right back. Alright, I have those die cut, and I forgot before I cleaned off my stamp that I wanted to stamp some of this image on the inside of my card. Let's see, just put a little scrap paper down here. There we go. Just to add a little bit of interest to the inside piece. And then set that aside. On my piece of scrap Whisper White, I'm going to stamp a sentiment. And I am going to use Hello out of Forever Fern this time. And I'm just going to try to give it a little space because I'm not sure exactly where my punch falls. Alright, that looks nice. Close up my ink so I don't get it everywhere. Because as you can see, I'm a very messy stamper. Alright, so then I am going to use one of the newer tag punches, and I'll have to look up the name because I forgot it. And I'm going to just line up Hello. Punch that out. Alright, and now we're ready. Oh wait, one more step. I need my ink again before we're ready to assemble. And that is, I'm going to use a piece of my sponge, and I'm just going to sponge around to the edge of this tag. There. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble our card. I'm going to just use some liquid glue And it's brand new, so it squeezes out really fast. And I'm just going to line up that inside piece. I like the liquid glue because it gives you that wiggle room and you don't tear your cardstock. Alright. If you have to reposition. Alright. And then we're going to put our homemade DSP. And we're going to put this piece on and just lining it up. And just line it up. Giving that little bit of edge. And look, we're almost there. Oops. Then these are a little more delicate than I usually do on a card. On this one, see, they're kind of hanging up a little bit. I think on the second one, I'm going to hide them down a little more and give them a little more stability. So probably I should have cut 2 layers or put a back on here of another shape, but I didn't want to lose all of that. And I'm just going to layer these on here. Oops, my fingers are sticky with my glue. Okay, so there's that. Wipe off my fingers so I don't pull everything off. And I'm going to just use a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere this label on there. My fingernails are not very good. So there we go. And I'm just going to position this to hide those stems. And there we are. You can always step it up a little bit with some bling if you want. A little bit of rhinestones. But I kind of also like just this simple look. All right. Thank you so much for joining me on Ready, Aim, Stamp.